Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:07 on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here on a Tuesday morning. Coming up at 6:35, Joel Rosenberg will join us. 7:05, Sharon Pinkerton of Airlines for America, talk about airline safety. And at 8:05, Dr. Robert Malone, because RFK Jr. went to a fast food restaurant. Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Julie, my microphone doesn't work.
I know. I know. Boy, it's never a dull moment here. No, you sound great.
We sort of had to, we MacGyvered it. We triaged it, and we said, well, let's go on the air. It's radio. We got to do something, but is this going to be?
No, you sound fine. Well, I'm not the...
I sound like glad. Joe from Milwaukee calling into something.
You know what, Larry? I'm so glad you're back.
I'm glad I'm back, too. Thank you. I missed being on. It's good to be here. Thank you for all the kind words and the condolences, everybody. I am still, clearly, because my microphone's not working, we cannot create the illusion that I'm in studio with you right now.
Right.
No one would have guessed, though, if my microphone had been working, which it is not. It's very strange. We've had remote connections on and off for many shows here in the incarnation of O'Connor and Company, and no one's the wiser. But for some reason today,
I think everybody in our audience knows that you had to go and be with your father, and so you are not in studio. And I'm just impressed you got up because it's early there, and I appreciate you coming on with us. So
I appreciate it. You don't have to appreciate me coming on. It's my job, and it was weird to my dad raised me to show up to work and
he would be
do
proud
my job
of you.
No matter what.
Well, it was weird. I will tell you, Larry. On Friday, it was me and Patrice, and I've never been on just with Patrice. That was fun. And then yesterday was.
Boy, she's a handful, isn't she?
Gosh, try to get a word in edgewise with that one. Just kidding, Patrice.
Oh, man.
You know Patrice
Honestly,
is up.
I get a hazard pay for having to do the show with her. It's crazy. Glad I'm not the only one who's had me. No, oh my God, it was totally the lunatics running the asylum on Friday with both of you taking over, company and company. It's very exciting.
Yes.
No, I appreciate. I know you guys pulled your weight big time and covered for me. Yeah, we knew that my dad was close. I found out from my mom on Wednesday that things were looking pretty rough. So Thursday after the show, I flew out to Portland and and because of delays, I didn't get in until very, very late. So, yes, thank you guys for covering for me on Friday. And then Sunday morning, he passed away. So, and it was best to take the day yesterday to sort of regroup, which I did, and spent time with my mom all day. And now I'm sick and tired of her. Jeez, God.
Did you throw the microphone at her?
I did. That's what happened. No, not at her. In frustration against the wall. God, woman. Jeez. My dad used to run interference, It was...
Larry, you're so bad.
I got no buffer now. No, he was. You guys, I appreciate clearly, you talked about my dad yesterday on the show because I saw on X, and on Facebook a lot of people reacting, and that was very kind. It's funny if people never. Obviously, none of you ever met my dad, but he had a booming voice. He had a booming, deep, resonant voice, and when I got this job and started my radio career, he would not let me forget that I inherited his genes there, and the voice was that. But honestly, anybody who thinks I've got a nice radio voice, you should hear my dad. It was amazing, and he was a good man, and thankfully he did not suffer at the end. He was going through. I came back here last month, and he was having a really rough time, and we sort of cleared all that up and got him some good care, and he was not suffering at the end, which was really all that he cared about and all that my mom cared about, and it was very, very peaceful.
Well, you wrote a beautiful tribute to your father, and I encourage everyone to you posted it on Twitter. I encourage everyone to find that and read it because it Boy, it was moving. It was
thanks.
really moving, Larry. Everyone should
Well,
have a child like you to, my kids will just be like, she yelled a lot. She yelled a whole lot. The
no,
end. The end.
I could have written that one. Oh, it's funny. One of my brothers called me and said, "This is really beautiful. Why didn't you write something about Dad?" Thank you for sharing that. And by the way, I did, even though it says my dad passed away today, I wrote that 2 days before. I kind of wrote it as a therapeutic exercise for myself as I was sort of sitting alone, staring at the wall there, and decided to publish it. And in true Irish Blarney fashion, I would say it's about 88% true. I may have embellished a couple of things.
Every parent dreams that they get a tribute like that. That's 88% true. So 80%.
He deserved it. It's real fast. I promise the whole 4 hours is not going to be talking about my dad. This. Although I could.
Yeah,
but one of the things that I got so many calls from other men my age who were in our lives, in our orbit, from my cousin who, for one reason or another, when he was just out of college, came and lived in Southern California with my dad because he's actually from Pennsylvania, from a young man who's about 5 years older than me, but was one of the salespeople who worked for my dad on the magazine that he published. And they all came to me with stories about how my dad made them a richer, more textured man. It was like being a man means a lot more than just chasing women and having a good time,
Yeah.
But real fast, excuse me, because if anybody read my piece, I talked about his love of music, his love of art, his love of theater, his love of cooking, all that stuff. And a friend of mine, Rick, the guy who worked for my dad, I guess they were watching a football game. You remember that old United Airlines commercial where they played Rhapsody in Blue was sort of the music for it?
Yes.
So my friend Rick, he's like 23 and he's working for my dad as a salesman, and they're watching a football game and that commercial comes on and Rick says, "God, I love that song. I love that music." And he goes, "Well, that's George Gershwin. That's Rhapsody in Blue." And my friend Rick is like, "What? Who? What?" And the next day at work, my dad I kid you not, he made a mixtape. You know how, guys used to make mixtapes for girls, He made a mixtape for Rick, and the label was Rick's Introduction to Good Music.
Oh.
And it was, and it spanned from, Verdi to Beethoven to Gershwin to Cole Porter to, I think the most contemporary song was Glenn Miller.
That's great.
And Rick reflected on that. He said, "This is who your dad was," and that is who my dad was. He was like this great high school football star who was so erudite and so artistic. And it's funny. Everyone's like, "Oh, so that's why you know show tunes?" And the answer is yes. That is exactly why I know and love show tunes. And so everything. And he was a good Reagan Republican too. Just don't tell my mom.
Yeah.
It is 5:15 WMAL traffic.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Julie, I don't know how much of this you hit with Hans von Spakovsky yesterday, and thank you to Hans, by the way, for filling in for me. But the Trump administration is making good on their promise to go after, rightfully so, by the way. Using the word go after may sound like a pejorative, but it's a good thing. They're going after universities who are tolerant of intolerance, tolerant of the anti-Semitism and hatred and intolerance that we've seen from these pro-Hamas groups that have shut down college campuses. They did it again at Columbia. They took over a library. They tried to take over an entire building, the Barnard Building. So the Trump administration cut $400 million in federal grants to the university. And most impactful, I think, of all is what ICE is doing. Immigration authorities arrested one of the activists who played a prominent role in setting up all of these protests that shut down the campus, shut down buildings, intimidated Jewish students. These are American citizens of Jewish descent paying their tuition at Columbia University, who were intimidated, bullied, told that they couldn't walk across the quad, told they couldn't enter a building. And I mean, this is in 2025 in New York City, in our America. And this guy, Mahmoud Khalil, who was a graduate student until this past December, he was inside an apartment that the university owned. Explain this to me. He's not in the school anymore. He's done. He's not a graduate student anymore, but he's still living in a university-owned apartment. So his living is subsidized by this university. When ICE officials arrested him, and he is now going through the process of deportation. And all of that is understandable and appropriate, and I celebrate it. Here's what's disgusting about the whole story. Democrats
of course
see him as the victim.
Absolutely.
And not just Democrat, like crazy activists, people who, like to post crap on their Instagram or, wear a headscarf to make themselves feel righteous while they go to Whole Foods. No, I'm talking about the Senate Judiciary Committee. Dick Durbin.
Durbin.
Durbin, thank you.
Yeah.
I knew the first part of his name. That's obvious. I forgot Durbin. Dick Durbin, chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and their committee put out on X a picture of him, making him look like he's some sort of,
Rolling Stone. Yeah.
By the way, graduate at Columbia. The guy's 40 years old.
Yeah, I know.
Get a life, get a job.
He's a professional activist and he's a professional student. That is what this guy is, and he's in this country because he really loves living in a country where he can run around and run his mouth and try to destroy our country. He has no business being here. It is absolutely disgusting. And really, the Democrat Party, they have become the party of terrorists and rapists. Seriously. I'm serious. What in the world is going on with
everybody kept asking, who's the leader of the party? The party's leader says, no, it's not. There's a leader of the Democrat Party. Her name is Rashida Tlaib, and she's joined by Ilhan Omar.
And Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I get what you're saying. Yes, that contingent. Yes.
Yesterday, a federal judge temporarily put a halt on the deportation of Mahmoud Khalil. That won't last. The executive branch, and here's the reality of the situation. If you're in this country legally, let alone illegally, but if you're in here legally on a student visa or a travel visa or a green card even, and you break the law, you are subject to deportation.
You don't actually even have to. You don't have to break the law, and I think that's really important.
Arrested. Right.
But you can suddenly, or they can discover that you are a threat to the country. And he runs an organization. Look, I don't want to get too much into this because we have this incredible cut from Scott Jennings that I know we want to play, where Scott Jennings lays out. And honestly, my gosh, Abby Phillips, I'm not a big admirer of her, obviously.
She's a journalist.
But honestly, it's like, I don't want to call people stupid. I don't want to say, are you a dimwit? But honestly, how this woman, Scott Jennings lays out he perfectly explains how this guy is a threat to this country and how he should not be here. And he certainly should not be welcomed with a student visa and a green card. And she doesn't get it. Sorry, I don't know if I'm stepping on you if you want to explain this more.
Not at all. Let's listen to it. Cut 2. Here's Abby Phillips and Scott Jennings going at it.
He's a resident alien. He can be deported under U.S. law for if the Secretary of State has any reasonable ground to believe he would have a potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequence. And you mentioned the student organization. The student organization put out... Let me finish.
But before you move on, because I think that's a really important point, right? That's the statute that they're using.
Yeah.
Have you seen any evidence to suggest that there is actually a serious reason to believe that this student is going to be a threat to national security?
I mean, I've certainly watched the abomination that's gone on at Columbia and Barnard and other places, and I will just tell you,
threat to national security.
And I'll just tell you that
I'm not going to let you move on because this is.
I'll tell you why it's a threat to national security if you let me answer you.
Well, Scott,
do you want me to answer you or not?
Okay.
His organization says we are dedicated, fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization.
There you go.
He's not a citizen. He doesn't need to be here.
I don't want to.
Okay. He's in favor of the eradication of Western civilization. But how do you see that as a threat to our national security?
This is a guy who literally orchestrated the harassment and bullying and threatening of Jewish students. He wants the eradication of this country and the West and the eradication of Israel. At what point, and I will say, that's 57 seconds of that clip. That clip goes on with Abby still scratching her head. But how is he a threat? Scott Jennings kept saying he wants the eradication of the West. What is wrong with you? Like he's
everybody stopped with, he's a student. He's 30 years old. All right.
I thought you said he's older than 30. How old is he?
I said he looked like he's 40, but he's 30 years old.
Still, that's old.
And although he did used to have a job, he worked for UNRWA.
Oh,
the United Nations terrorist group. There's more to discuss on this all morning long, but the Democrats have chosen sides. They put out a picture of him making him look like he's a saint. The Senate Democrats, the grown-ups in the room, with this picture that says free Mahmoud Khalil. I do love that the White House responded and said President Trump says this is the first of many arrests. It's 5:24.
Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
5:37, O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here Tuesday morning. Larry O'Connor back in the saddle here, and I appreciate Hans von Spakovsky and Julian Patrice filling in for me. If I sound a little different, it's because we're having some microphone issues here with my connection, but everything will be fine. Julie sounds great. That's all that matters, right, Julie?
Well, you sound better.
Thanks.
You sound better. It's getting better.
Coming up at 6:35, Joel Rosenberg will join us. 7:05, Sharon Pinkerton from Airlines for America, and 8:05, Dr. Robert Malone, because RFK Jr. ate fast food French fries, so we got to talk about that. Meantime, I think we know, Julie Gunlock, that leftists are terrorists across the world, whether it's in Syria, whether it's in Ukraine and Russia, whether it's in China, or whether it's in the streets of London or right here in America. Leftists, to gain power, they inflict terror on normal people, citizens who are just trying to enjoy our freedoms and our liberties. The only way leftists can take control throughout history is if they intimidate, bully, and threaten violence against a citizenry. That's just, read a history book. Look up Lenin, look up Stalin, look up the Bolsheviks, look up Mao, look up Fidel Castro. I don't know how many examples we need. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And leftists here in America, it appears, although those could be attached to international terrorists as well, they're going after everything Elon Musk right now, including the X social media platform that suffered multiple cyber attacks yesterday. The platform was down multiple times, and Elon Musk is blaming all of these nationwide protests. I'm out of town right now because of the death of my father. I rented a car, and Avis gave me a Tesla, which I'm fine with because I drive a Tesla at home. I love Teslas. So I'm here. I'm in Portland, Oregon, right? Speaking of, local domestic terrorists.
Oh, dear.
I've got my Tesla, and apparently there have been multiple, attacks on Tesla charging stations in the greater Portland area.
Yep.
So my mother is grieving the loss of her husband, who just passed away, my father. I go to take her to a restaurant last night, and as she's getting in the car, she goes, "Oh my gosh, wait a minute. Are we going to be okay in this car? Is it okay to drive?" She's already dealing with the death of her. She was actually literally expressing fear that if stopped at a red light in this godforsaken town, that somebody might, throw a brick at our window or something and attack us because we're driving a Tesla. This is how maniacal the organized left here is in America.
And you say the organized left, they are well paid. It turns out that 5 Act Blue funders, including these left-wing mega donor, George Soros, of course, and Reid Hoffman, they are funding a lot of, we talk about this guy at Columbia who's, going to lose his green card and his student visa. He's a professional agitator. He's a professional activist, right? He's here on a student visa. And really, he's a professional activist. There are lots of these professional activists where these groups come in, these NGOs come in, pay people to turn up at town halls, outside of members' offices, and to do things like, protest or actually vandalize Tesla dealerships. They are well organized. I mean, I don't want to say people should be paranoid in their Teslas, but I mean, there's a reason why people are nervous, because it's not just one crazy dude. It is, again, an organized effort to intimidate. Yes, to intimidate and scare people.
And that's exactly what Elon Musk believes that it is. He's made multiple statements about various groups that are funded by Act Blue, which is, they've got their own headaches right now with Act Blue and what could be criminal allegations over foreign funding that ended up in American political campaigns. George Soros and Reid Hoffman created Act Blue so that when people got agitated online because of a tweet or an Instagram post, they got so worked up that they could just push a button and send money to Act Blue, and then Act Blue would give it to politicians and left-wing groups to go do their dirty work. Here's Elon Musk yesterday with Larry Kudlow on Fox Business talking specifically about these cyber attacks on the X platform. Because, you know, the leftists, they love free speech. They're all about free speech and social media interaction, except when, you know, people who disagree with them utilize those platforms to exercise their free speech. So here's Kudlow and Musk.
I want to begin, but among other things, everyone's attacking you for your position. What are you doing in the government? There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced.
Yes.
It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Well, so that's your suspicion. Is the website, is the internet up? Is it up yet?
It's up, yeah.
It's up yet. Okay, good.
By the way, here are the names of the groups that Elon Musk believes are behind these attacks. I'm just going to name the groups, and you tell me how benign and pro-American and pro-freedom and peaceful they are. All right, the first group is called Troublemakers. The second group is called Disruption Project. The next one is Rise and Resist. And then Indivisible Project. And the last one, are you ready for it? Democratic Socialists of America. These are 5 nonprofit groups that get tax-exempt status here in America under our federal government, who have been funded by Act Blue, which was founded by George Soros, by Americans who think that they're, you know, doing something to help Chuck Schumer, you know, stop some spending bill. But what they're really doing is funding these people who allegedly are basically wreaking terror on it. It's either cyber terror attacks or legitimate violent attacks against Teslas, against Tesla dealerships and charging stations.
Yeah, this is sort of the formal organization of Antifa. It's sort of these little teeny Antifa NGOs that scare people, that terrorize people, that vandalize businesses.
That's the point.
And again, it is being headed and funded by billionaires in this country who hate this country. Don't forget, you know, they really truly they hate this country. They want it destroyed. That is the root of this.
It's 5:44.
Making sense of your world.
There are a lot of things that really tick me off.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. WMAL. Making sense of mainstream media. Because the double standard is real. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
It's 5:49. O'Connor and Company, and Julie, you and the team here kind of make fun of me a lot because I have a Tesla. I've had a Tesla for many years.
That's not the only reason we make fun of you, but okay.
That's fair enough. I'm just trying to focus on this one thing right now, if you don't mind. You make fun of me for driving a Tesla, and that's fine. I'm used to it. It's typical. But guess what? I keep telling you, all the cool kids have Teslas. All the cool freedom-loving conservatives love.
You also reassure us that you go and burn a tire in your backyard like once a year just to offset.
That is correct. It has. Yeah. That's my carbon offset. I gotta spew as much carbon into the atmosphere because I honestly I feel so dirty when I drive that clean energy car. Guess who has joined the ranks of Tesla ownership? None other than 4547, Donald J. Trump. He put out a post yesterday on Twitter, on X, To Republicans, conservatives, and all great Americans, Elon Musk is putting it on the line in order to help our nation. He's doing a fantastic job, but the radical left lunatics, as they often do, are trying to illegally and collusively boycott Tesla, one of the world's great automakers, and Elon's baby, in order to attack and do harm to Elon and everything he stands for. They tried to do it to me at the 2024 presidential ballot box, but how did that work out? In any event, I'm going to buy a brand new Tesla tomorrow morning as a show of confidence and support for Elon Musk, a truly great American. Why should he be punished for putting his tremendous skills to work in order to help make America great again? So here's what he needs to do. I love this. But as you know, Julie, legally, I don't know if it's legally, but the president is not allowed to drive himself. They
right.
won't let the president
right.
drive. In fact, one of my favorite things, if you go to the Reagan Ranch, which is run by Young America's Foundation, they show you Reagan's Jeep. He had a Jeep on the ranch property that was the only place he was allowed to drive because it wasn't public roads.
Right.
It was private territory. And so I think, in fact, W, I think, did the same thing at his compound down in Texas.
It's sort of like
right?
when the Queen drives around Balmoral.
In her Land Rover.
Yes.
Exactly. But it's the only time you're allowed to drive because it's your
roads.
own private.
Right.
You can drive on your private property.
Right.
So, but I don't think Mar-a-Lago is quite set up the same way. I don't think Trump can drive this. So here's the thing: he's buying this. It's a lovely gesture to support Elon Musk, but then it's just going to sit and collect dust.
He's going to do loops on the White House, like the ellipse. He's just going to do loops, just go round and round. Yeah.
These terror attacks are all, as Elon Musk has suggested, are funded by groups that get their money from Act Blue, right? This what appears to be a Ponzi scheme shell game that is falling apart before our eyes through what appears to be corruption and illegal activity. Here's what Trump should do. He should get his brand new top-of-the-line Tesla Model S, Plaid or whatever, sign the hood of it with a Sharpie, and then auction it off to the highest bidder and donate all that money to WinRed, the conservative counterpart to Act Blue.
There you go.
Because he can't drive it anyway.
Maybe Barron's going to use it. Maybe for college. Maybe, you borrow Dad's car. Maybe Barron.
I don't think Barron's allowed to drive anywhere
Probably
either.
not.
He's got like a whole motorcade going to NYU. Also, New York City is a waste on a Tesla, especially a Model S Plaid. My God, that thing can go 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds. Amazing.
I hope there is a
it.
photo, maybe in the White House driveway, of Trump driving this Tesla. That would be great. Think there will be?
Either way, if you've been thinking about a new car, you might want to consider a Tesla because they really are great cars, and they're American-made, and Elon Musk deserves our support right now. Trump is putting his money where his mouth is. That's impressive. 553.